worries.
How are things at Bayside Academy?
Really good. Really, really good. We just opened up a new middle school, and so we just had a big capital campaign and built a new middle school. So that's really awesome. That's been fun. And then we're still in the football playoffs, much to the
Yep.
chagrin of the public school folks. So we're in the third round.
Third
Uh,
round. Who do y'all play this week?
we are going to play actually Montgomery Academy. So we're going to play another private school.
Okay.
And then
So,
the winner of that game would play we just went to Randolph County this last
yeah,
weekend up in Wadowee.
Wadawi.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's
So,
awesome.
and then we would play the winner of Southside Selma if we win. We'd play the winner of Southside Selma and what's that school up in Phoenix City? I forget.
I'd
Um,
have to pull up my bracket. Let's
anyway,
see. Let's see.
it's
3A bracket.
a bracket.
Glenwood.
Glenwood, that's it, Glenwood. So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see. I see
3A
your Packers
is
thing back there. Are you a Pack guy?
I am a Packers guy, despite their terrible offense so far this year.
I know it's kind of shock. The my two best buddies from college. I went to Miami of Ohio, and
Yeah.
one of them has is an owner. Has the one of the stocks or whatever. Gets to
Yeah.
go to the owners meetings and stuff. Both one of them lives in
Wow.
Milwaukee, but the other one lives in Chattanooga, and he went to medical school up there, and he actually can go to the stockholders meetings if he wants,
That
which I
is
blast.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah,
Have him improve this offense in the offseason. That'd be
I'll tell
great.
you, man. Yeah, they were looking first few games. They were looking like Super Bowl or
Yeah.
bust.
Yeah. Had some injuries. Receiver is tough. Just that offense has just not
Yeah,
been very good.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
defense is elite, but offense not so good. But we'll
Defense is
see.
elite. Yeah.
We'll see. How many
So,
Saved by the Bell jokes do you get at Bayside Academy?
you know what? We have a little notepad going around that actually says "Saved by the Bell, Bayside Academy." Like we just went ahead and embraced it.
I love it. You got to.
When you're in middle school and they give you a nickname, you might as well just go ahead and take it because if you don't,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So, but most of these kids now don't even know what Saved by the Bell was.
Isn't that devastating? Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
Oh my
They don't know. They
gosh.
don't remember anything.
Yeah,
They
like
don't.
I'm hanging out with one football program this whole fall for a book project, and like my references,
Yeah, forget
music
it.
I listen to doesn't matter like
Yeah,
at
because
all.
you've probably figured it out. These seniors were born in 2008.
It's awful. Like I was a senior in college or junior senior in college.
Yeah, I graduated from high school in 1986. So, yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
is
Well,
what it
tell me
is.
your let's go through before we get into some of the independent private school AHSAA stuff that I kind of want to talk to you about. I really want
Yeah,
to learn about it more than anything because I don't know
sure.
a whole lot. Just tell me about your journey to Bayside and in education.
Well, I really had no intention of being a teacher, I guess. Both my parents worked for IBM, and
Yeah,
uh, and they encouraged. There were five of us, and they encouraged all of us to go into business, computers, all that kind of stuff. Kept telling us, "Don't go into teaching, don't go into teaching," and four of us ended up being teachers, and one ended up being a social worker. So I just, I guess I always thought I wanted to coach and teach. Even when I was in high school, it was something I felt called to really,
yeah,
and I didn't major in education partially because of my parents, pressuring me not to. And I got out of school. I worked at the Georgia Governor's Honors Program, which is nerd camp in Georgia, and I'd gone there as a student, gone to nerd camp as a student, and then I was a RA at nerd camp. And the director of gifted education for Georgia came in and threw a bunch of mailing labels back when we had those on my desk in my dorm and said, "You need to be a teacher." And I was kind of like, okay. So I became a teacher. But at that point I wasn't certified or anything. So I started teaching in private schools and I never left. I've
wow,
been public school my entire life. Went to a very rural high school in North Georgia, went public school all the way through college. I don't have a degree from any private school. here I am, head of an independent school. So
Wow.
yeah, if you told
Wow.
me when I was 16 years old that I would have ended up being head of a private school, I probably would have punched you in the nose. So getting to the I get the public school vitriol. Like I understand it because I was that kid. Um,
Mm,
you know,
man. And y'all are in Fairhope, right?
we're in Daphne, but yeah,
Daphne.
over half our students are from Fairhope, actually.
There are
Um,
worse places to be.
it's a pretty good place, man. It's a pretty good
Yeah.
place. I was in
Um,
Dothan for 9 years before this. I was head of school at Houston
okay.
Academy, and
Yeah.
Dothan was great, but this place is amazing.
That is cool. How long have you
Where are
been
you?
there?
Oh, you
I'm
what?
I'm in Trussville, close to Birmingham.
Oh, you're in Trussville. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been here 4 years, and I was
Okay.
in Dothan for 9.
Okay. Okay. And
Uh,
like we kind of already mentioned, Bayside's in class 3A. What's enrollment like at your
our
school?
our high school is about 240.
Okay.
So we're 7A in volleyball.
How does that work?
It's the competitive balance. You win a certain amount and you keep getting bumped up. And so we're now 7A in volleyball. We're 6A in track and field. We're 6A in cross country. I think we're going to be 5A in soccer. We're only and without the multiplier, we're a 2A school.
Yeah. Like just based on strictly enrollment.
Just if you just did enrollment and didn't do the 1.35, we'd be a 2A school.
Yeah. Wow. What is that like having a school that athletically you're competing in different classifications against people with different depths and that kind of thing?
It's hard. I mean, it's really hard on our kids, honestly. I especially in the contact sports, like in football, like
Mm.
it's not a matter of that our ones can't compete, although we have a lot more kids playing both ways. A lot of schools our size have 25, 30 kids on a football team, right? So kids end up playing both ways and they just get tired and they get injured. And then once you get past that first, sort of first level of players, we're throwing seventh and eighth graders out there.
My
You know,
gosh.
and so we're putting
Just a brief timeout from the episode. Just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, whether that be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen or watch your podcast. Like the video, like the podcast. If you enjoyed it, share it with a friend, comment. Appreciate you guys a lot. Let's get back to this episode.
we're fine as long as nobody gets injured. But even then, again, I would
Yeah.
argue playing kids both ways in a lot of cases, and not so much because of the competitive advantage, but just the other kids aren't ready, physically or emotionally or otherwise. So,
Yeah.
like right now, we're lucky we don't have too many serious injuries on our football team. But we've had years. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this. Like Donahoe took a lot. It's a little private school, in Anniston.
Yeah.
It took
Yeah.
a ton of heat because they had to cancel a football game because they had so many kids injured. They literally were going to be putting kids out there that were like 80 pounds.
Yeah. I know Coach Smith really well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And they took a lot of
crazy.
heat, even so a little bit in the national press, for canceling the game. But literally, they were going to be putting seventh graders out there.
That's
Um,
crazy. Like
so
because we are in football season, like y'all are in. I'm looking over here, so I get the teams right. But like the football team competing in 3A Region One. Um, I mean, y'all win? Y'all won the region? Yeah, won
we
the
won the
region.
region. We won the region.
Um, you're in there with Cottage Hill Christian, T.R. Miller, Flomaton, Hillcrest Evergreen, Monroe County, and Excel. Um, what's depth? What's rosters compare like? Is it fairly comparable, or are y'all lesser?
No, no. Well, okay. Like TR Miller with their
Yeah,
tradition and everything, they've got a ton of kids, like
sure.
and they've earned it, man.
Oh
TR
yeah.
Miller is kind of the gold standard. They are the gold standard, I think, for a
Hmm.
school, a 3A school.
Sure.
Jamie Riggs, who was the longtime coach there, I hired him when I was at Houston Academy to turn our program around there.
Oh
And
wow.
he did. Um, and so still a lot of those guys that are on the staff at Houston Academy came from TR Miller.
How
But
about that?
yeah, but like there's I mean some of these programs are in 3A, depending on the area, they don't have a ton of kids out too if they don't have tradition, history of success like T.R. Miller. Um,
Sure.
and I think in general, I don't know what I know football participation rates are down across the country.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know how much it's down in Alabama. You might have a better sense of that than I
Uh,
do.
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
Yeah, but Cottage Hill's probably in a similar situation. I'll put it this way: most schools, we may uniform people, but I said most schools have more bona fide players than we do. Kids that
Yeah.
you would say that should be out there on a varsity field. We may suit up a seventh grader for a game, but he's not going in. And I mean,
Right.
so I would
That's
say
yeah.
most of the time we're outnumbered in terms of our numbers on the sideline.
I got you. Let's get into some of this. Another reclassification is upon
Yeah,
us, and I'm sure every school right now that's not still in the quarterfinals or whatever round of the playoffs
yeah,
right now, it's we kind of refer to it as silly season a little bit.
yeah,
Like every school giving out numbers, enrollment numbers,
yeah,
and where are we going to be, and then coaching changes, and it gets silly
yeah,
around Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Um, I didn't read much in October, but I know that AHSAA there was a meeting with private school representation, I guess, regarding this reclassification that we're coming to in December. Um, what can you share about it?
No, I don't mind sharing that. Like, and it's not wasn't a big secret. I mean, Heath Harmon and everybody knew we were doing it. It wasn't like we were trying to be secretive or anything. I mean,
Right, right.
you don't have 58 schools in a room and nobody knows about it. But especially in the social media age, and we were
No
trying to,
kidding.
So it started. Uh, it actually started in the summer, and a few of us were getting together. There were I don't know that it was even rumors. The Speaker of the House had met with some independent school leaders and and also had met with I guess had met with Mr. Harmon and basically expressed an interest in getting the private schools separated from the public schools for playoffs. Okay, so just for playoff purposes, not separating people, kicking them out of the AHSAA, but there need to be some sort of separation. And I guess Mr. Ledbetter's son-in-law is a football coach. So there was and again, I get it. Like I think there's a feeling that the private schools have an advantage because we don't, we can take anybody and all that sort of thing. So in the past, these decisions have been made, and the private schools haven't been consulted at all. We haven't even been asked what our opinion is. And they can ask for our opinion and tell us, sorry, we disagree with you. I mean,
Sure,
but there was, so our feeling was, you know, we're just going to have another situation where things are handed to us without us having any input whatsoever or any representation. So a few of us got together at just not very many schools, and then a larger group, slightly larger group, got together. So we were already sort of talking about what our positions were on being separated for playoffs and what we might want to do. Okay, or what we might want to say. I guess we don't have the power to do anything. So
sure,
then and I talked to Heath Harmon, and I said, well, after we had a meeting of maybe 30 something schools, I called Heath and I said, Heath, I really think it would be a great idea if you got in front of these private schools. I think, just so they can ask you questions, and so he very graciously agreed to meet with us, and we met at Montgomery Catholic, and he just fielded. I mean, I give the guy all the credit in the world. He walked right into the lion's den. Like it, it was, it was not. It was not Trump at a Trump rally. I can tell you that. It was definitely some hostility. But I mean, I'll tell you, he handled it really well, and I was very impressed. I texted him afterwards, and I said, "Hey, man, we got the right person, steering the ship." And so that then he called a meeting of all 58 private schools that are playing in the Alabama High School Athletic Association. So we figured, well, we're all going to be there. Let's meet afterwards, and we went over to Faulkner and met afterwards. And essentially, I think what he was asking for was our support for the Alabama High School Athletic Association in light of the lawsuit by the the governor and the
Yeah.
you know attorney. I'm sorry, with the well, the lawsuit about the Choose Act,
Yeah.
and the lieutenant governor and I guess the pro tem signed on to it, or whatever, to not enforce the Choose Act as financial aid. So I think he wanted to get our support, and I understand him wanting to get our support, but our I guess our message to him was we have no voice on the board of control.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and the last time they asked for our support, and I was very involved in that, and we drafted a letter in support of the Alabama High School Athletic Association and that we ought to be making our own rules and all this sort of thing. Shortly after that, they put the competitive balance in place. So I think a lot of people felt like, well, that's the thanks we get for supporting the high school association. We get competitive balance. Okay,
Yeah.
so just just so you understand, like I don't think anybody, well, I shouldn't say anybody, but I certainly don't think competitive balance is a bad idea if it applies to everybody, right?
Right.
So we have the public schools, the city schools are all taking kids now who don't live in the district,
Right.
right? So in our and so those perceived advantages that maybe the private schools had, and Heath Harmon acknowledged this, the private schools had maybe 15 years ago, don't no longer apply to private schools. They apply to most districts, right? Now, again,
Yeah.
no one's going to go to Clay Chalkville, probably, you know what I mean? Like there's rural districts or whatever where they're probably not attracting kids from outside. But like you look at our county, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a county in our, there's a school in our district that just built a $52 million facility. I mean,
Yeah.
and another school in our area has former SEC coordinators,
Yeah.
and and I'm not gonna, I have seen, I won't name the school, but I saw our quarterback's dad got a text, and I swear to God this is true. I saw the text offering he and his wife jobs in a condo if their son if they would move to this other district. Okay.
Another place. Yeah.
And by the way, he did leave. He didn't go to that school, but he did leave. So went to another public school. Not because he was recruited there, but it had to do with family and things like that. But he did end up leaving. So I'm just saying, those, if you want it to be fair, and if the goal is competitive balance, you
Yeah.
should be having that apply to everyone. Because about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, Ron Ingram, who
Mhm.
is, I don't know Ron, but Ron's a great
Yeah.
guy. And he presented a PowerPoint to us at a meeting that showed that only one school had won a state championship in any sport that had more than 30% of their students on free and reduced lunch in the previous 5 years. So go back 5 years, one school had won a state championship that had more than 30% of their students on free and reduced lunch. In other words, rich schools, wealthy schools, affluent communities are winning state championships, and poor rural schools are not, or
Right.
poor inner city schools are not. Okay. Does that surprise anyone? I mean, would it surprise you that, you know, Ayrton wouldn't win a state tennis championship?
No.
No. Uh, I don't even know if they have a tennis court in Ayrton. Like, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I mean, I'm guessing they certainly don't have lessons, and they certainly don't have tennis coaches,
Right.
and they certainly don't have competition, and they don't have USTA, right? Like,
Sure.
they're not going to win a state tennis championship.
No.
Again, maybe you can manage it in football, but even in football, it comes down to, I got a buddy that teaches at one of the poor, a friend of mine that teaches one of the poor public schools here. He has a hard time getting his kids to practice because they're all working to support their
Oh.
family.
Yep.
You know,
Oh yeah.
so it's heartbreaking, but it's a poverty issue, not a private school public school issue. It's a resources issue, not a private school public school issue. It's not a coincidence that the same schools win football championships every year. Those schools have the money and the resources to make it happen,
Yeah.
right? And so if you really want to help the rural private schools win state championships, get the wealthy public schools out of their division too, you know? And so that's one of our proposals is make competitive balance apply to everybody.
How
And
would that look? Like I'm gonna cherry can well no, I can't cherry pick that team. They're in the top classification already. How would that look? Like if you took just name any public school that people know about in football and apply that competitive
okay,
balance to them, what does it look like?
I mean, I will say, okay, like let's take somebody in our district, Gulf Shores, awesome athletic program, great folks.
Sure.
They have amazing resources, right?
Yeah.
They have, I guess, a hotel tax that goes to their, their
Yeah.
recreation facilities and all that kind of stuff, which is great. Hey, awesome. I mean, like I don't begrudge them that at all. I'm happy for them. But if they won the way it looks now, if they won, a certain amount, however they want to define it, they would move up a classification. Now, here's the thing: they also have to make it easier to drop back down, right?
Yes.
Because what happens is, let's say Gulf Shores, like last year, Gulf Shores had a really good team. This year, not as good. All right. So
Right.
all those kids that won the state championship are no longer at Gulf Shores.
Right.
They're in college, right? And now you got all these other
Mhm.
kids. You may or may not, especially in the smaller divisions. You might have nobody, and then they're getting their brains beaten in, right?
Yeah.
But like, okay, take our volleyball team. All right,
Okay.
we're in 7A because we won 22 straight state volleyball championships. All right, good for okay. So we're in 7A now. It is almost impossible for us to move back to 6A. We would have to not get out of our area, which there's three teams in our area, I believe, and one of them doesn't really have a volleyball program. Like they have one, but they just don't, again, they haven't built their program. So we
Sure.
would have to be so bad not to get out of our area, to move back down. And so I just think, and maybe after 2 years you reset it. Or, I don't know. There needs to be an easier mechanism for schools to move back down to lower classification, and that's one of my big complaints right now. And that's one of the things I think would be more than fair. Again, Montgomery Catholic a couple of years ago had some D1 athletes, had a great football team.
Yeah.
All those kids are gone, all of
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
and they're
They
and they're getting their brains beaten out right now.
Yeah,
Now,
I got to see those teams a little bit. Like, I mean, you had guys graduate. I saw them play in the state championship against Moody
yeah,
last year. You had guys who graduated, and then honestly, you had guys who left Montgomery Catholic and followed Coach Johnson to Benjamin Russell. I mean, that
100%,
they
100%.
did. You know,
And Moody's another one that can take kids from out of district. And Moody's a great school, great athletic program. I'm not begrudging them that, but they're allowed to take kids from outside of the district.
how
Uh,
does that work? Since I mean, like they're a county school, but it's city of Moody. How do you take kids out of district? How does that work?
I think you can anybody in the county, or maybe it's outside of the county. I don't know Moody's particulars, but they pay
Okay,
tuition and can go to the school, even if they're not in the district.
really?
That's true across there's tons of
I didn't
schools
know that.
that do
I didn't
that.
realize that.
Yeah, you can live in Daphne and go to Gulf Shores or Orange Beach.
How?
You
Just
just
like based on a
show
tuition?
up. Yep, you show up and you pay a fee and you go to school there.
Is this okay? How does the Choose Act factor into all this?
You can use Choose Act money for that as a parent.
Okay.
But right now, going to a public school and using Choose Act money does not count as financial aid, according to the high school
Okay.
association. If you go to Bayside or you go to UMS and you have UMS doesn't take Choose Act money, but if you go to Bayside and you have Choose Act money and you pay for it out of your family's account, that counts as financial aid and you have to sit out a year. If you take the Choose Act money and go to Gulf Shores, you don't have to sit out for a year.
And that why is that? Like what is the like what was this deciding factor that said, "Hey, because it's taking Choose Act money to go to a private independent school, you have to sit out, but if it's a public school, you don't have to." Where was the decision making there?
I don't know. I'm not allowed to see the minutes from the Board of Control meetings.
Mm. That seems really weird to me.
It seems weird.
I'm not in that world, but just on surface level
Look,
layman kind of guy, I hear it and I'm like, well, how is that fair?
it's not. I mean, but again, man, like going back to the beginning, Mr. Lloyd, I get the hatred, man. I get it. Like that was me. Like I just said at the beginning, that was me. I grew up in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
And like I told people this, I wrestled, and I was he was a good wrestler, and like I know that I never lost to a Lovett wrestler, okay,
Mm.
because I hated those guys. I don't know what my record was against North Hall High School.
Yeah.
I don't know if I beat those guys or not. I mean, I probably did. I don't know, but I didn't keep track of it. But I sure as heck kept track of how I did against guys from Lovett,
Right.
right? Like,
I got you.
I mean, so I get that, man, and I can remember we were playing football against Westminster, and we were standing, getting ready to go out onto the field, and their fans are chanting "Rednecks, Rednecks, Rednecks." I was like, man, I hate these people. I hate
Yeah.
these,
Yeah.
you
That's
know.
so funny.
And
How
yeah,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, so like I understand, but that really, honestly, I do think a lot of that is what it is, right? Like I think that people look at our kids and they say they're entitled, they're privileged, they have all these advantages, and we want to punish them. I mean, I really think that people wouldn't want to admit that. One of the things I said at our meeting with Heath Harmon is I said, you know what? We've been talking about this for 10 years, and I've heard people talk about competitiveness. I've heard them talk about coaches. I've heard them talk about resources. I've heard a lot about state championships. I really don't think once I've heard the term children.
Mm.
They don't talk about, no one talks about the children. And evidently, like that there's for some people, our children and their safety and their athletic experience, because we got this whole big thing where athletics is a central part of the development of young people, right? That's in the Alabama High School Association philosophy. Agree
Right.
100%, man. I wouldn't be where I am without athletics. I don't know
Yeah.
what you did or what you participated in,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're covering this stuff now. I'm assuming you were an athlete. You look like an athlete. You got a Packers thing in the back, and I see an old school Atlanta Braves thing back there. Like,
Old school Braves. Yeah.
yeah, I'm assuming you're a sports guy.
Big
Well,
time. Yeah.
I mean, not everything. I wouldn't be where I am right now if it were for sports. I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am right now. Who knows where I'd be, but it
Same.
wouldn't be here. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So you know, take a school like I'll go back to Montgomery Catholic. Okay, so the Catholic school's mission, they have two things they try to do at Montgomery Catholic. One is they they are leading people to Jesus Christ, right? I don't know. You may not be a Christian, but like I think that's a pretty noble endeavor,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Secondly, they are lifting children out of poverty. Their generational poverty. These kids are coming out of Montgomery Catholic and they're going to college and they're having opportunities that if they had stayed where they were, they would have never had. Okay. So
Right.
you're a mom and you say, I'm going to take, oh, we have this Choose Act now, and that'll allow my child. I'm a Catholic. This will allow my child to go to Montgomery Catholic. This is my dream. My child gets a Christian education, and we have a chance to get generationally out of poverty. If you can explain to me why that child deserves to be punished, I'm all
Yeah.
ears.
Exactly.
So that's where we are right now, though. I think that there's a sentiment just like me when I was 16 years old and I hated those kids, right? That there are a lot of people that hate our kids, and they wouldn't put it, they wouldn't say we hate your kids,
They're
but
basing it on an assumption.
right, that our kids are privileged and our kids are spoiled and our kids are, I mean, listen to our broadcast from our football game, the other team's broadcast of our football game last Friday night. Hear what they're saying about our kids.
Mm.
I mean, it's shameful. You read a sportsmanship statement 30 times during a game, and then you turn around and talk about our kids being recruited and rip our kids' heads off. That what does it matter? We're going to be out of the playoffs anyway. What are they going to do? Suspend us? Go ahead and hurt those kids. I mean, that's on a broadcast that you can look and it's archived on the Alabama High School Athletic Association website or the National Federation
NFHS. Yeah.
NFHS website. I mean, and I'm looking at this. Yeah, we have some kids that have come into our school who play sports. They've come in since seventh grade. But I'm sitting here looking at our starters at football. I started counting them up. There are 4 kids that start in football on our team that weren't here in kindergarten.
4?
There's only 4 that weren't here in kindergarten.
Wow.
Now,
Lifers.
well, yeah, and we got a kid. Now, look, man, we got a kid that came from one of the schools south of here, who's our quarterback now, who was was going to be their third string quarterback, and his parents were like, well, you know, we're not going to get. He's never going to get a chance to play football here, so they picked up their whole family and moved to Daphne and live across the street from our school. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that was part of the equation, but
Sure.
he's their third string quarterback. Like, and
He wanted to play. Yeah.
wanted to play, and you know, they got here and they saw the opportunity. Our kids last year, we had what do we have? I think we had 56 graduates last year, and they had like $7.8 million in college scholarships.
Whoa. Wow.
All right, so I mean, and again, for many of our families, sending their kids here is a huge financial sacrifice.
Absolutely.
So I mean, our tuition's $18,000 a year.
I understand. I'm not going to name the school or anything like that, but I've got me and my wife have one child, and we went down that road, and we were accepted into a private school in the area where we live, and went through that whole process, did the visits, loved the
Yeah.
place, still love the place, ultimately decided to stay put, and it was strictly a financial decision for us.
Right. It's tough. I mean, you're making serious, even if you're not, even if it's, you can afford it, you're making serious lifestyle choices, right?
Yes. Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's the thing. So I mean, I guarantee you most of our parents are making serious lifestyle choices. You know,
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
they don't get to do all the things that maybe some of their friends at Daphne High get to do. You know, that's what, and again, that's what people, but I don't expect people to understand that. And I don't even expect people to empathize with that. But I would love it if they would just look at how it impacts children.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I mean, there,
our children are just as worthy in God's eyes as a public school child.
yeah. So, like,
Um,
what is like, I'm curious, like, playoff wise, like you mentioned it earlier, like, I know we're in the throes of the football playoffs. So I guess I'm more talking about football, but, um, how would some sort of perceived separation come playoff time? What does that look like region wise during the regular season to get to a separation in the playoffs?
yeah, I have no idea. I don't know what that looks like.
I don't
There,
either.
I was in Tennessee for 5 years, and I was an athletic director in Tennessee actually. And they had this thing called the Z plan, which they got rid of because it didn't work. And they took like you still had your regions, but they took like the top 2 private schools and then the top 2 public schools, and the private schools in the region went to the private school playoffs, and the public schools went to the public school playoffs. But then what ended up happening is like you were putting you were putting teams in the playoffs that had like 2 or 3 wins.
Yikes.
Yeah, so it was kind of a mess. And then they would get killed in the playoffs. And so they got rid of that. And now the way Tennessee works, my understanding is still the way it works. If you offer any financial assistance, you go in one division and you can still play the public schools during the school year. But when the playoffs happen, you're only in like a private school region. Now,
Okay.
so we would like when I was at University School of Jackson, where Trey Smith for the Kansas City Chiefs played at University
Yeah.
School of Jackson, the tackle. And now he's got a insurance commercial now, State Farm commercial. But so he was one of our kids, and but we would go and play like St. George School or Memphis University School or whatever during the regular season, and then we would only play private schools in the playoffs. But we still played like
Mm.
Milan High School, public school down south during the regular season. So we'd have a couple public school games, and where it really helped. I mean, you could also play them if we wanted to play JV tennis or middle school tennis. We could play any of the public schools in our area in
Yeah.
tennis, right? So
Okay.
it cut down on the travel. But I would say again, we don't have as many private schools in Alabama as they do in Tennessee. So the
Right.
travel would could be problematic. Um, and there also aren't very many bigger like you take uh, like McGill Tulane. Like
Biggest one. Yeah.
I don't know who they play. Like if they're playing private schools in the playoffs, who the heck's McGill going to play?
I mean, I mean, because they're what I would guess based on enrollment, they're probably
They're
a
6A.
few hundred. I was going to say they're probably a few hundred bigger than the next biggest independent private schools.
Probably. I think the next one would be Faith, and then I guess Briarwood. Um,
Okay.
so you have like three sort of big schools, and then you get more to schools like our size, St. Paul's, UMS. There's a clump of us about our size,
Yeah.
uh, and then it falls off precipitously. Then you're talking about schools with like 30, 40, 80 kids in their upper school. Um,
Oh my
and
gosh.
some of those schools are playing in the AISA and they're playing 8-man football.
Yeah.
So they can't even field a, 11-man team. So it's just Alabama, we're just not as big a state. Like
Yeah.
there are more there are probably twice as many people in the Atlanta area as there are in the whole state of Alabama.
Jeez. Yeah. I
Well, there are
believe
about
that
8
actually.
million. We
Yeah.
have about 5 million in Alabama, and there's probably 8 or 9 million people in Atlanta.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. What do you think? Like, I don't know. This thing is so, I don't know. I guess I want to say nuanced, but like, what do you think the AHSAA wants? What do the private schools want moving forward?
It really depends on who you talk to. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there are definitely like I guarantee you, our opponent last week, if you talk to them, they want us out altogether. They don't think they should have to play us, and they don't want to play us, and you know, they think
And
we
that
cheat.
was right. And that was Randolph County.
Yeah, they would like us to be gone.
Well, I mean, they
Um,
lost 47-7. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
no,
like I said,
no
I get
disrespect to Randolph County, but you lose by 40 in the playoffs, you're probably pretty upset.
yes, like I said, I get it, man. Right? Like I'm not
Yeah.
sitting there saying I don't know where these people are coming from. Like that again, that was me 40 years ago, right?
Right.
So I mean, I'm not. I went to a school. I went to a high school very much like Randolph County.
Yeah.
So I mean, in fact, I laughed because we went up there and they were like, Scott, what do you think about that? And I said, these are my people. These are my people. So,
Man.
and they
So
really are. I mean, they really are.
yeah.
They're
So
good
is it
folks.
so it's would it be fair to say, trying to get kind of a grasp on this from the independent schools perspectives, would it be fair to say you want to remain like the setup how it is now, but just kind of have tweaks to the competitive balance and that kind of thing? Like, you
Yeah,
don't want to go
we
play
just want
your
to
own
play by
independent.
we just want to all play by the same rules.
Yes.
And I want and we want so that's all. I mean, that's the bottom line. We want to all play by the same rules. If we are all equal members of the association,
Yeah.
all rules should apply equally to all members. Okay? So if we're recruiting and we're breaking the rules, or if any public school is breaking the rules, come on down on them like a ton of bricks, man.
Yeah.
Right? And if you know if the issue really is competitiveness, have competitive balance apply to everyone. If here you talk about the multiplier, all
Yeah.
right. Okay, we have an attendance zone, Daphne, city of Daphne. All right, over half our kids are from Fairhope. Count them 1.35. If they're
Okay.
from Fairhope, if we have a kid from Fairhope, if we have a kid from Spanish Fort, count them 1.35. That's fair. That's fair. But the
Yeah.
kids that live across the street from the school, I mean,
One kid.
so and do the
Yeah.
same thing. If a kid in Gulf Shores is at Gulf Shores, count them one. And if a kid from Gulf Shores lives in Foley, count them 1.35. Like they've got kids that are not in their district, right? So let them do that. And does that not seem fair? Like
It does. Is that true? Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the like not living in the district thing, because that
not
I
all
don't.
schools do that. Not all schools do that. Some do,
Okay.
some don't. Depends on the
So the
policy.
ones that don't, they're just that their numbers are just completely true, and
Yes,
they're where they are based on their district's enrollment.
right.
Okay.
And
I
I don't
see.
know that I don't know that we face this as much, and it probably doesn't affect athletics, but I don't know that this affects in Georgia. I think it had some effect. Like people could show up at a school and say, I'm homeless. And if you just declare yourself homeless, you can't do anything about it and you can just enroll in the school. But I don't think that's a deal in Alabama. Like I honestly have never heard of that happening here, but I think
Hmm.
it did used to happen in Georgia. Um,
Interesting.
but that that's not a factor. I don't think that's a factor in our state.
Yeah. Where
Um,
does I mean, reclassification, I forget when in December it is, just sometime after the Super 7 and before Christmas, I guess.
we don't really know. Honestly, that's part of the thing too is, and I think that's part of the legislature's deal. Like, it would just be kind of nice to know sometimes what's going on, like
Yeah.
I,
It
that's
would
where, I mean,
be.
honestly, that's probably where you get in some trouble with the legislature. The legislature feels rightfully or wrongfully that there's a lack of transparency. And
From the
from the
AHSAA?
from the HSAA. I'm not commenting on that. I don't know if it's true or not true. I feel
Sure.
like, yeah, I mean, that we certainly don't know what is said in board of control meetings. We don't know, you know, and we have no, we have one private school representative on the board of control. But, it's not proportional
Sure.
to the percentage of private schools that are in the association, and it's not set aside for a private school. It just happens to be Terry Curtis, who's been on the
Right.
board of control for a really long time, and is
Yeah.
and all those guys love Terry, and God knows it's hard not to love Terry.
Sure.
I mean, God, he's a good dude, and
Yeah.
I think part of it is he has relationships with those people and they like him, and he's been on it forever, so they put Terry on, and now
Mm.
he's actually the chairman, but
Yeah.
uh, I don't know that I don't. I think he'd probably tell you he'd be a good person for you to talk to too. But I think he's got to pick his battles too.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't be in there all
Tough
the time
spot.
yelling.
Yeah. That wouldn't go over well. No.
No.
Where does the what do you think the outcome is going to be like this reclassification? Any ideas? Any inklings?
I have no idea. There are lots of rumors. I don't put a lot of
Silly
stock.
season.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like I don't know where all this is going to land. I think that um, if anything happens too punitive, I do feel like that's going to really upset the lieutenant governor and the legislature and the governor. I think they need to tread lightly, a little bit. I would. That's what I would tell them if I were an attorney. Um, I'm no attorney, but I have a doctorate. But as my daughter said I heard my daughter say to her little friends when she was like 3 years old, she said, "My daddy's a doctor, but he's not the kind who can help anybody."
Kids have
She's right.
zero
She's not
filter.
wrong. She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
He's not wrong. It's just zero filter. That's
Yeah,
so
but
funny.
no, but it's I don't know. I feel like I feel like there's going to be my guess would be they're going to this time around they might just go on with reclassification as if everything's normal. They might just reclassify. We have a group. We have three people going to talk to the board of control on December 10th. We have three private school representatives going, and we're going to put forward some of these proposals. I don't just so we can say, hey, we tried. I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to go anywhere. I don't think that any of it will get approved. And
Well, it seems like with the border control, and I truthfully like I've written stuff in the past that's come from it, but like I've never gone to anything down there. But that seems like, and I know y'all have been working on this for a long time, but it does feel like if you have a meeting on December 10th, it's not going to be something they approve December 15th or something
no,
like
no,
that. It
I don't
takes
think
it
so.
takes a while.
It takes a while, and I don't. Honestly, I'm sure they don't agree with what we're proposing. So, I mean, because I do think on some level I think there's a general feeling that private schools have a competitive advantage that we recruit and that we have an unfair advantage, therefore we need to be punished and or restrained or whatever. And again, you look at the numbers. um, the private schools are winning a disproportionately high number of state championships or whatever. But again, I would argue that's because of resources, not because private public.
Yeah.
And Hoover's
Well,
winning a
and
lot of state championships too, right? I mean,
Well,
you're
that's
up
what I was
there.
gonna say is like I guess it's like it depends on the sport too because
Yes.
like not to like overgeneralize, but I mean you kind of mentioned tennis as an example earlier. Like just overgeneralizing here, I would expect an affluent
Yes.
private school area to be much better at tennis than a school that isn't.
Right.
Just
Golf too,
like
huh?
Yeah, yeah. Just like in some places, how do I tread lightly on this? But I would expect certain public schools to be better at football than even some other public schools, but certainly some private schools too, like
Yeah, for sure.
just based on your makeup. I mean, just based on who's
Well,
there, your numbers, all those things.
we certainly have a lot of kids walking around this campus, a lot of boys who would help us in football, but they don't want to get their brains beaten in,
Sure.
or their parents don't want their brains beaten in,
Yeah.
and so and they play basketball, they play baseball. We got a lot of baseball players, the baseball,
Oh
travel
yeah.
baseball. I mean, we have a lot of kids that play travel baseball, almost none of whom play football.
Yeah. I was trying to find because I had an example and now I'm not able to pull it up, but I think I don't know if it was a private school or what that used to be up here, the Altamont School
Yeah,
in the Birmingham area. I don't know if it's
we don't
still a
even have
school now
football.
or yeah, well we played them. Okay. I love sports as you've seen, uh, all of them, but my school sponsored sport that I played in high school just happened to be golf. And I
Oh
played
wow,
it and I played at Hewitt Trustful High School. We played uh, we didn't have a rival that was like based on our location. Our rival was Mountain Brook because they were good and we
yeah,
were good.
right.
We were
You
both
guys have
good.
been you guys have been really good over the years. Like Hewitt's been pretty good at golf, right? Like I
They've
mean,
been they've been really good at golf. And we would play the Altamont school a lot and it was that kind of overgeneralization deal where those are the rich kids and they've got the memberships at this place and you would expect them to be good. And hey, the statute of limitations is up. I played a long time ago. They were horrible. We beat the
yeah,
crap out of them every single time. And so it's one of the, it's another one of those things where, people make an assumption based on your zip
right,
code, based on the
right.
neighborhood you live
For
in,
sure.
based on the school you go to. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Like, I was not our top golfer. I was somewhere in the middle of the pack. I was fifth, sixth, seventh on the team, but I'm beating their number one by 15 shots around.
Right. Yeah,
It happens.
it happens, and it is a generalization. And I was just looking up to see what what percentage of Hewitt Trustville students are on free or reduced lunch. Um, and I mean,
Oh,
because I don't think of Hewitt Trustville as being all right. Yeah, 16%.
I was going to say it's not going to be very big.
It's a pretty, it's a, it's a middle class, but it's
Hmm.
a, you know, it's a good area. And yeah,
Yeah, it is.
16%, 16%. So,
Exactly.
so it's again, you would expect. My high school was good at golf. We had a bunch of kids that we did have a lot of poor kids, but we also had kids that lived in country club communities. Lived on golf
Yeah.
courses. So we were good at
Oh, yeah.
golf. We were. I couldn't make the golf team, man. You were better than I am. I couldn't make the dang golf team.
I don't think we had I don't think we had so much tryouts as we did like, "Oh, you want to play? You're in."
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, it that tracks. Um,
Yeah.
uh, I saw you at the last year at the state golf tournament. I think they're still doing pretty well.
Oh yeah. They're really good program.
Yeah,
I mean, now when I played there, it was 2005, 2006. Like, I think either maybe my junior year, we finished like fourth in the state or something like that.
yeah,
But
still pretty darn
def
good.
definitely a really good Birmingham area.
Yeah,
One of the best programs in Central Alabama for sure,
yeah, yeah.
for sure.
It's
So
cool.
we don't know where this goes. We'll just wait to
No
see what
idea.
happens in
We'll see
December.
what happens. I would, I said there's a part of me that thinks they're just going to go and just go ahead and, you know, business as usual and just leave
Status
class up.
quo.
Right. Because, that'd probably be the smart thing to do because you don't know where this lawsuit's going.
Mm.
We don't know what like I'm assuming Tommy Tuberville's going to be our next governor. Like, we don't know where he's going to stand on all this stuff. I don't think Speaker Ledbetter really wants the legislature running the high school athletic association. Like, so I don't know where it's all going to fall out. And I think as private schools, all we want really we want a seat at the table, and we want to be treated like everybody else. And if we could achieve those two things, if we could just have a voice, again, I don't expect them to. vote the way we want them to vote. They can vote however they want to vote, but I'd at least like to let them listen to us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's kind of America, isn't it? I mean,
It's kind of America. How different? We'll end on this because we could go a hundred different ways with this stuff. But like you've been in other states, how does the AHSAA, just the high school athletic governing body of the state of Alabama, how does it compare to a Tennessee, to a Georgia?
whew. Um, well, again, Georgia, first of all, Georgia's tough because it is such a big state and you have that
Yeah.
Atlanta contingent,
Oh
and
yeah.
you got so many schools in Atlanta that are just rolling in cash. Like
Yeah.
those Gwinnett schools
Oh
with
my
3,000, four
gosh.
thousand kids and the Fulton County and Cobb County, they're all of those schools are there are I mean there are probably 50 schools in Georgia that are bigger than Hoover. Like it's
Right.
just
Right.
so or Auburn or whatever. So I think there's so much affluence in Atlanta now. I think some of that has changed, and you
Hmm.
know they got rid of they did a separation or they did a multiplier thing. They got rid of it. I think except for and they have separate playoffs now for football only for 1A. But again, remember in Georgia, a 1A school in Georgia would be a 3A school in Alabama, right? Like
Right.
they don't let Houston County high schools exist in Georgia. They if
Right.
they were small, they shut them down. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, which I don't like either, by the way. But anyway, so I think it's hard to compare Georgia. I mean, Tennessee, um, you know, I think I think because there were more private schools, I think everybody's okay with the separation. How the high school association operates there, like I said, like I felt like I had a good relationship with Steve Savarese. He'd always take my phone calls. I feel like Heath Harmon's been. I think that like the people who are the executives at the high school association. I think they do want to hear all voices. I really do. Like I wouldn't be critical of Heath or certainly not
Yeah.
Steve. I mean, Steve's a good man. Like and he had been a coach. At
Oh yeah.
McGill and at Daphne. He'd been public and private, so he'd seen
Hmm.
both sides of it. So I don't know. I don't know that I have a good answer for that, but I mean. I do think that Alabama has not grappled with those issues that Tennessee and Georgia. I won't say we're behind, but we haven't really wrestled with them. They haven't really done anything, I think, to really address the concerns yet. And the other thing I would say is I do feel like even though Tennessee and Georgia are big football states, I don't think football drives the conversations as strongly as it does in Alabama.
Yeah.
I think football really drives most of the decisions in Alabama. And I do think in Tennessee, and this is just my opinion, but I do think in Tennessee and in Georgia, they did consider how things impacted other sports more. Um,
Sure.
so,
Yeah, that makes sense.
you know,
That
I,
makes yeah.
and even if they do, I'd love to see cross play, by the way. I would love to see us be able to play the AISA schools in sports. And right now they don't allow that. Um, and they've blocked the AISA's membership into the National Federation year after year after year. And then they say, well, we can't play them. They're not in the National Federation. Well, they're not in the National Federation because you blocked them from going to the National Federation.
Why do they
Um,
block them from going in the NFHS?
because their position is they could join the Alabama High School Athletic Association if they wanted to.
Ah,
So because they choose not to, that's on them. But they don't even, again, they don't have 8-man football in the High School Athletic Association, so they don't have that option for these schools. I mean, um, and they don't want to have the multiplier. I mean, so they stay in their division. But anyway,
man, a lot to be sorted out. Like I like the way you said that too. Like because saying like we're not going to say Alabama's behind, but I don't know. This is a fancy way of saying behind, but maybe just a little more cautious to act. I guess.
I also, again, in fairness to them, I think they look at like Florida, which is kind of the Wild West now, where there are no rules
Yes.
and they just threw up their hands and the governor got involved and all that stuff. And I think they look at that and say, dang, we don't want to be like Florida.
Exactly.
So again,
Yeah,
it's not like I don't see that side.
absolutely.
And these are tough issues, man. I mean, and you got parents breathing down your neck all the time, and I mean, it's hard. And again,
Yeah.
I'm sure Randolph County hates us now. Like you said, we beat them 40-7 or whatever. I mean, you know, those kids, I guarantee all their kids went walking out of the stadium saying the same things I would have said when I was 16 years old when we were playing Love It. I mean,
Well, hopefully Alabama can take what data, take what you're seeing from surrounding states, but really just make the best decisions for Alabama. Like we're,
it,
it's different here than Tennessee, than Georgia, than Florida.
absolutely is.
Make the decisions that work best for your state.
Let's go back to this, which I said earlier. Let's make the decisions based on what's best for the children of Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I tell our faculty all the time, schools are places for children to learn and grow, not places for adults to work.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And
You got a mic in there you can just drop after that?
yeah, I mean, that we when we make decisions in our school, every time we make a decision, before we make that decision, we ought to say, all right, how does this impact the children?
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of policy issues, not Alabama, not I think nationwide, we forget, man, these are children. These are
Mm.
stinking children.
Yeah.
These 17-year-old boys may look like they're grown men. They're not.
No.
Do you remember what
No.
you were like when you were 17 years old?
Not a grown man, no. Far from it.
I mean, yeah, and they're not emotionally equipped to deal with the same things we're able to deal with. And
Yeah.
just because they look big, we think they're the same, and they're not.
No, no, not at all. Like I remember covering it was Clay Chalkville in 2011 when they got turned in and had to forfeit a bunch of wins. That team was going to win the Class 6A state championship that year. I don't care what nobody can convince me
Yeah,
otherwise. They
yeah,
were
sure.
running through that schedule. They were going to win it all. And they had to forfeit 9 games, 9 of their 10 wins for having an ineligible player. And they appealed it, went through Jefferson County Board of Education. They took it up. It went all the way to the Alabama Supreme Court. And I'm not going to name any reporters. I covered the crap out of the thing at the time, but I remember seeing a certain reporter really, after one of these meetings, um, approaching kids that showed up kind of like in solidarity in a way with the football team, like just to support them.
Yeah.
And these are like 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, not even on the football team, just students at the school. And this TV reporter is like asking them, like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? And I'm like, one, like, that's when you do actually talk to the adults in the room. But two, like, what are we doing where like we're asking kids to talk about grown up things? Like, y'all need to make the decision that is best, like you said, for these kids. Don't put the kids in the center of it. Like, give them the platform, give them the just the area in which that they can thrive, and then let that happen. Don't
Right.
don't put don't make them the center of the drama.
Yeah. Don't put a child. We put our children are in enough adult situations in this day and age. Uh,
Yes.
I mean, you think you got. I don't know how old your child is, but like, we're getting off topic here. But I mean, the stuff that these kids are exposed to now, it's unreal.
It's
It's
crazy.
unreal.
Yeah.
Things
That's
they
a
see and know and what's normalized for them. Man,
mm-mm.
I don't know how we put the genie back in the bottle, but man, I wish we could.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like that whole deal. Once the cat's out of the bag, you can't get the cat back in the bag.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
so
Well, I appreciate you, Scott.
hope I
Thank
gave
you
you something
for
we can work with. But
no, absolutely. It was good to just talk through it because I haven't done a ton of looking at it. I've seen, snippets here and there, article here and there, but um it's very interesting to see kind of what's at the core of this thing. And, we're
and
right about to see.
I didn't really talk a lot about the Choose Act. I mean, it definitely impacts some, especially the faith-based schools in our state. I'll be honest, like for us,
Mhm.
Choose Act doesn't affect us at all because I mean we have some families, like I think we have 6 families on Choose Act. Most of them were faculty members, which I
Okay.
guess is kind of a sad testament to our pay. But most of them were faculty members, and then we had like a third grader. So it didn't affect us athletically at all. But I do feel honor bound. I'm vice president of AISA, and I do feel honor bound to protect our schools that went all in on this because they were led to believe that these kids that the legislation explicitly says that CHUSAC money shall not be used, to determine athletic eligibility by the Alabama High School Athletic Association or other like associations, and they did it anyway.
And then it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have the lawsuit, but like I'm not, like it didn't affect like just self-interest. It didn't affect my school at all, but it sure as heck affected some of our sister schools and some of those children,
Yeah.
who were in poverty or close to poverty and got an opportunity to go to private schools, took the money, and then all of a sudden they're ineligible.
Mm.
I just don't know how you do that to children.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, this thing works out, and cool heads prevail and common sense prevails, and we'll see what happens going forward, I guess.
Who benefits from all this?
Who's
The
that?
lawyers. The lawyers.
Always. Always. Just racking it, just sitting there counting it up.
They'll let us fight forever.
Oh yeah, man.
God
Well,
bless them, man. Capitalist country. Good for them.
there you go.
I'm
Well,
a capitalist.
hopefully it doesn't linger forever, and um, get a resolution to this thing, and everybody could just move forward and have these kids play sports, and
Yeah.
compete in what they want to, and wherever they choose to go based on the Choose Act, or wherever they live now, whatever.
Love our kids, man. Let's love each other and love our kids. I mean, if we could do that, man, think of if we just love each other.
What a
Imagine how different
concept.
Washington would look.
What a concept, right?
Isn't that what Jesus asked us to do? I thought he
I
did
think
that.
I think he might have done that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I may have to go back and look at my Bible. I'm not sure if that's in there or not.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
I really appreciate you. Thank you for doing this, and we'll get this thing put out there, and
keep up the good
hopefully have
work and
some
go pack
response to
go.
it. There we go. We'll end it right there. Go Pack Go.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All right,
Scott.
man. All right, take it easy.
Bye.